Good morning, class. A quick one. Yesterday, I promised that I will be doing a JavaScript course, basically on functions. But let me start. Let me not waste our time. A function is basically a block of code or a chunk of code that does a thing. It does not matter what the thing is, right? It's a block of code that does a thing. In JavaScript, this is the way to establish a block, right? As simple as that. This represents a block of code. Anything that happens here ends here, right? So let's continue. So let's talk about functions. You start with the keyword function keyword. Then you have to give the function a name. For instance, greeting. And the function should be very, very descriptive. Somebody should look at your function name and infer or tell what the function is doing or what the function was meant for. So now we just want to greet somebody, right? So we now use we can use a return keyword or we can use console.log. But it's not as if I'm assuming anything, but I believe before you can before you can come up to where you want to understand functions, you must have known how to add JavaScript to an existing HTML project, right? So you can use inline, external, or internal approach. But now we want to use the external approach where we have our JavaScript file, then we can now link it to any HTML file we want, right? So we can now link it anywhere within our page. So here, I want to use script and the source attributes, right? This is where I will now really add my file, my JavaScript file. You see index.js. So this is it. I have done that. So what I normally do when I do something like this to make sure that everything is fine, I'll come here and alert. So anybody who have been in my class will attest to this. I would say alert. I will just write anything. I will save my file. Then I will now go live so that you see if the file is visible on this particular page. So we've just said hello and we say so this is it, this here. So we've established that fact, right? So everything is fine. So from our HTML, from our JavaScript, let's continue. So this is a function and we want the function to just say hello or anything, right? So we can now still use the alert. We are just greeting. So that is just that. So before there's another thing you do after creating a function, you need to first of all call it. Okay, you call it using the function name greeting, then you open and close your parentheses, you save, then that's it. So when you run this application, you will see we are just greeting. That is pretty much about it in functions. But then let's take it a bit forward. Let's just do a more practical stuff, right? So let's just do a simple calculator, a function that will add two numbers, right? So this is it. We'll use prompt to do that. We use let number one equal to prompt to be a string number one. So to save our time, I will do my normal stuff. Anybody that has been in my class will attest to this. That's how I do it so that I will save our time. So I will now alert. I will still use that alert to output my value num1 plus num2, right? So there's something that will happen. Let's typecast this. Let's make sure that this thing is a number. This is converting a string to a number, because whatever you receive from the user is always seen as number. It's always seen as strings, sorry. So that's why I'm putting this. I would have used the number method, but then to save us some keystroke, that's why I'm doing that. So this is it. This is pretty much about it. So we have to change the function to depict what we are doing at this time. So we are just doing add, right? So when this function is run, you will see that it will tell us to put num1. We'll put num1. We'll say okay. We put num2. We'll say okay. It will now alert 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. So that's pretty much about function. But this does not depict what functions are like for real. So that will bring me to do function parameters and default values, right? So if time permits, let's do that. We can pass a parameter, right? For instance, let me revert to the other stuff, right? Greeting. So we can pass name, right? So that we can just say alert name, right? So this is a parameter. A parameter is nothing but the thing you pass to a function during creation. When you are creating a function, you pass a parameter. So when you are calling the function, you pass a value which we can consider as argument. My name is Uche, right? So let me add a string here. Hello, right? So I will have to concatenate this. Like up at this stage, you should have understood what this plus sign is doing here. When a plus sign is found between a number and between strings, it concatenates, right? So this thing is serving as concatenation. So that's just what is happening there. So when you create an object, when you create a function, you pass in parameters. When you call the function, you have to pass in an argument. An argument is the actual value you want to work with, whereas this one can be seen as a variable. But because of where it is existing, is called parameter, right? That's it. So let's try what we've done. So let us refresh this place. So hello Uche. Of course, you can see the Uche here, right? That's it. So let's talk about, that's it for the parameter. Let's talk about default values. But before then, let me tell you why I need the default value. I will save this and refresh. You see that it's saying hello undefined. This is not what you would want the user to see. So for you to solve this problem, you should give it a default value. The default value can be something I call this thing, I call the under name I call default values is placeholders, things that will happen or the user will see if for any reason you forgot to pass the actual argument or value. So let's say name, right? So when we run this code and refresh, you will see name, right? This is the default value. So now when you now pass in something, say Anya is my surname, you refresh this page, you will see Anya, right? When you forgot to pass an argument, this is what you will see. So this is it for this is it for the parameter, this is it for the argument, right? So if there are any concern, just leave it on the comment session, I will definitely respond to it, right? So that's it for functions, right? So maybe in subsequent classes, we'll talk about types of functions, right? I hope you understand what a function is basically is. Function is not really that complex. And why do we do functions? We do functions for reusability, right? So for reusability, so to further make a function more reusable, that's why you need parameters so that you can call this particular function multiple times with different values. So that is pretty much about you save it. So you've called this function. You have Anya, refresh. You have Anya, refresh. You have Martins, refresh. You have Ogele, refresh. You have Rose. So that is the number of time you call this function 4 times. So we find out that we can now reuse this function with different values. That is the beauty and why we need arguments and parameters, so to say. So I hope this was clear enough. I can just hit me up on the comment sessions. Let me answer your concerns. Thank you very much. Till we meet next time.